You can't believe a thing economists tell you about tariffs. You just can't because they just. All right, so I'm reading this. It's very frustrating to me. I'm reading this right here. This article. I don't know if it's an article, a white paper, whatever. Big Dixie Chicken goes global. Exports and the rise of the Georgia poultry industry. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm going to share with you some of it. And if anyone has any economists could actually think beyond just what they've been told by Paul Samuelson or Milton Friedman or John Keynes, they might say, you know, something very interesting. Your ideas of tariffs that never seem to quite work in reality. Remember, tariffs always lead to inflation is what they'll tell us. And it's just not true. So check this out. So basically what was happening is essentially the post cotton time of the South, they had to find different products and different ways to make money. Once you got rid of sharecroppers and things like that, because sharecroppers were just doomed. Sharecroppers were white and black, by the way. And so they said, there's got to be a different way. And so all these backyard poultry farmers, they started raising chickens in different ways. I'm not going to go into the mechanics of it, but very vertically integrated, essentially. And so that's where you get like Purdue Farms, Tyson Farms, this guy named Jewel Farms, a company called Gold Kist. And it's just basically, it's very interesting how they went from the backyard guys with 500 chickens to freaking this poultry integrated system with thousands and thousands of chickens. And very interesting because I used to work in the Shenandoah Valley in banking. And we had turkey processors back there who raised for Pilgrim, and I got to know some of these guys. And the poultry industry is very interesting, and the ebbs and flows. The sometimes very profitable. A lot of times you're working just on margin thin profit margins. Anyway, so right here in 1964, discussion of the price instability plaguing the poultry industry. A couple guys from Harvard Business School noted. Export packs, frozen necessarily, provide the seller with another alternative to the uncertainties of the daily chicken spot market. Another analyst wrote, given the economic doldrums of the late 1950s, exports as a solution to overproduction were a largely unexplored opportunity. So the overproduction is that we had these economies of scales kicking in now. We had much more ability to produce more and more chickens for less and less inputs, and thus they're just massive increase in chickens. On top of that, Eisenhower had his heart attack, and so there's an increase in demand for chickens as well. People were worried about red meat because Ansel Keys was lying to people saying red meat causes heart disease and all this stuff. So the white meat was starting to take off. On top of that, we had just huge increases in the manufacturing capacity and capabilities as well. So we had overproduction of chicken. Put down the back of your mind. What does overproduction typically mean? Well, if you have massive increases in supply is production, and you have minimal increases in demand, they even had more than minimal, but still you have supply going like this, demand going like that. What does that do to prices? It drops the prices. Huge increase in supply, minimal increase in demand inherently means lower prices because you have more production. You have overproduction relative to demand. And so that's what's happening here. And so the guy was saying the daily spot market is like chicken producers, like, dude, how much are we going to get paid? We don't know. We're overproducing chickens, which means the prices are dropping. Anyway, let's keep going here. As early as the mid-1950s, U.S. poultry exports began to grow, mainly to the 6 European and common markets, mainly West Germany. Let's see here. By 1962, the U.S. sold 221 million pounds of poultry abroad, roughly 2/3 of this going to West Germany. The export total represented a six-fold jump from 1958. So it increased 600 times from 1958 to 1962. 221 million pounds of chickens were being exported primarily to West Germany. Now, the export total represented only 3.6% of U.S. total poultry production. Because remember, we're already overproducing, right? And so we said, we got to find a new market here because the prices are going to drop below cost. We can't have that. And so they exported a sixfold, 600 times. Though this percentage of total exports relative to the U.S., what we kept, was small, given the narrow profit margins, the problem of overproduction noted, we talked about, mattered. This became evident in the early 1962 when a full-scale trade war erupted between the U.S. and West Germany over chicken exports. The genesis of the war was the development of the Common Agricultural Policy in the EU. Well, it wasn't the EU back then, but the Common Market. Very interesting. Europeans were, in January of 1962, reports reached Georgia that poultry industry leaders, that the Europeans were considering raising import barriers. Interesting. The Poultry Times estimated the new policy would represent a serious slash in policy exports. I want to keep that in the back of your mind. Remember, we have a serious issue with overproduction here in the United States. We're able to take some of that overproduction and send overseas. All right? And if we got those tariffs put on our product in Europe, what would that do for exports to Europe? It'd drop them right here, a serious slash in poultry exports, according to the Poultry Times. Was that seeing where this is going? Well, we already have overproduction domestically. If we have a serious slash in poultry exports overseas, we'd have more product here. What does more product mean? If the demand doesn't keep up, prices drop. But yet, here's what they say. The Georgia Poultry Federation quantified the effect of ending poultry exports from Georgia. According to the group's estimate, if no broilers, a broiler is a chick that's raised for meat consumption, all right, not egg consumption, meat consumption. According to the economist at the Georgia Poultry Association, the Federation, if no broilers had been sold abroad in 1960, this would have raised the domestic price a full cent per pound, thus costing Georgians, this is just in Georgia, over 11 million bucks. So if they were unable to unleash that 221 million pounds of poultry overseas, that would have raised the cost in Georgia by 1 cent per pound. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense at all? No, because we already had low prices. Why? Because the overproduction. The demand wasn't keeping up the production. We had new technology to produce more and more chicks, and broilers in this case. And with that overproduction, we were able to offload millions of pounds overseas. But if we weren't able to unload those, we'd have those millions of pounds here, which meant the price would fall significantly. Ironically enough, check this out. We go to the very beginning of this. Let's see. This is written in 2003. Over the past few decades, exports mainly to Russia and China have become an increasingly important part of the operations of the large vertically integrated operations that dominate chicken raising and processing throughout the United States. This fact was brought home to many Americans for the first time when in March of 2002, the Russian government cut off all U.S. poultry imports and caused a storm of protest. So, 2002, Russia cut off all imports of chickens, and yet China and Russia were at that stage in 2002 our main exports. So what happened to the price of chickens then? Because remember, we were told if we got rid of the exports to the West Germany essentially in 1962, it raised the price of chickens a whole 1 cent per pound, costing $11 million more to consumers in Georgia. So what happened in 2002 with the price of chickens? Let's take a look. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to compare inflation rates at in2013dollars.com. I love this website. I don't go to it nearly enough. And we're going to go to all items. And we're going to show you what happened in 2002, all items. All right, so in 2002, inflation, let's see, what year is this? Is it some of the year? I thought I did. Hold on a second. Oh, yeah. All right, there we go. Right here, 2002. Get out of there, car ad. All inflation in 2002 for all items was 1.59. So inflation went from 2.83 in 2001 to 1.59 in 2002 to 2.27 in 2003. Now, this is all items. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at chicken specifically. Full list of CPI categories. We're just going to look at chickens. Chicken! All right, chicken's right there. And we're going to see what happened in 2002. So in 2001, inflation for chickens was 2.98. And in 2002, it dropped almost a third. I mean, it increased 1.95, which was higher than the overall inflation rate, but not by much. But it went from 2.98 in 2001 to 1.95 in 2002. And then in 2003, it went down to 1.22. A big jump in 2004, I imagine something to do with some swine flu or something like that. Some bird flu. We got to kill all the chickens. But we see the import restrictions in Russia did not have any impact on increasing the prices of chickens here in the United States. It didn't. You see that if we had an import exclusion in West Germany in 1962, would that really have increased the price of chickens when we were already dealing with oversupply? No. And that's the thing with these tariff people. They always say tariffs always and everywhere inflationary, and we just don't see that. We see two instances. Russia get rid of our chicken imports and the price of chickens actually decelerated. We don't have any evidence of the price of chickens going up significantly what was threatened, but this is what these economists always say. It's like they're believing unlimited vaccines. Vaccines save lives. Tariffs lead to price increases. College degree equals more money. And then you start saying, all right, that makes sense, as a talking point, but let's dive into this a little bit. You're like, wait a second. You can't say vaccines save lives. You can't say college degrees equals more money. You can't say tariffs equals inflation. There's more to the story. Can tariffs be inflationary? Sure. Are they always and everywhere inflationary? Unequivocally not. In fact, the evidence is more tariffs, the more deflationary there is. Can vaccines save lives? I'm skeptical, but let's just say sure. Did vaccines save lives? Do you not know about the polio vaccine? Do you not know about what happened in the 1970s vaccine? Do you not know about various vaccine productions that have big problems? Going back to Pasteur, you don't know this stuff? Of course you don't, because you never hear it. Smallpox saved lives? Really? Vaccine? Really? Could there be another side of that story that you're ignorant of? Yeah, of course you are. Tariffs always lead to inflation? Really? College degrees always gives us higher wages? Compare a guy with a college degree in communications with a guy with an HVAC. It's simply not true. Just not true. Anyway, it's just so frustrating me because I love the economics profession. I think it's very interesting. But I hate when they just have these things, tariffs always and everywhere are inflationary. Or I hate the free trade always makes us better off. It's just not true. It doesn't mean it can't be true, but you can't say it's frustrating me. All right, I figured I'd share that with you. I'm going to buy this book, but this looks fantastic. So I'm reading some of the footnotes on what this guy's article came. The Roots of Southern Populism. Yeoman Farmers and the Transformation of the Georgia Upcountry. I can't wait to read this. My man Stephen Hahn wrote this, and what he says here is, this is the updated version. For this updated version, Hahn will add new material to discuss how the book has stood up since he first published it in 1983. He will also consider what has happened to the historical interest in populism, poor white people, and populist policies, as well why he thinks it's likely that interest may revive. And he had written this in 2005. Look at that. And why he thinks populism interest may revive. Yep. And what sort of questions may drive it. Unfortunately, I got to pay $43 for it, but I'm buying it, dude. So you can get the 1983 edition, but I want the updated editions too. I can't wait because it's $43. But I'm doing it, dude. How dare you? Secession debated. I don't know who wrote that. American slavery, American freedom, the soul of inequality in America. Oh, I love this kind of stuff, historical. Anyway, I can't wait to read this. So, anyway, let's see. Great, this guy says. Great. God bless. Don't forget to smash that like button. We'll see you.